Hey everybody, we're here, new episode RLG Cast. Today we're talking hidden gem horror movies. I'm here with Kim from Kim.Cinema.Escape on Instagram and Tom from KilmFlub on Instagram. Your name is so good, by the way. I hate how good that name is.
It's,
Um,
it's really not.
it's no, it is. It's pretty good. You guys check out their stuff in the description below. So we're gonna talk hidden gem horror movies, and who wants to go first?
Uh, can go first.
Okay. I'm going to start off with my favourite on the list because I could talk about this one the most. But it is the French horror film Inside from 2007. It's part of the French extreme horror about this heavily pregnant woman gets her home is invaded by this crazy woman who wants to steal her baby, and it's not enjoyable. I wouldn't say I enjoyed it, but I absolutely loved it. It is so gory. It is so over the top. It is really creepy. It is just, I don't know. It's kind of like Martyrs level of about it. But I like that. But I don't know I don't think Tom's seen it. Have you seen it?
No, I've seen Martyrs. I've seen High Tension. I've never seen that.
Yeah, it's not quite as bad as Martyrs, but you come away with that kind of ick after you've seen it. But it's quite short. It's all in one place pretty much, and it's just go like violence and gore and blood and just it's great.
I think if it's anything like Martyrs is one of those films where you hope nobody walks in on you watching it because you feel like you shouldn't be watching it, and that was the. I needed to cry in the shower afterwards because it was just heavy.
It's not quite that level, but it's nearly there. It's just more relentless gore than just horrible. But it is. If you like gory films, and you like high suspense and things like that, it's definitely one to go for. I think it was actually on. I don't know if you're watching this as well, but the 101 scary movie moments on Shudder that's gone at the moment. It was on one of their.
Did they finish it?
There's one more episode, I think, coming.
I was waiting for it to finish, and then I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, I think the last one is next week, so you can probably start it now, to be honest. But it appears on there with one of their moments. So yeah, definitely one to watch if you like scary things. If you've got a weak disposition, then don't watch it because it's pretty grim. So yeah.
Okay, I'll go. I'm gonna go. Ghostbusters. No, I'm joking. It's a remake. No, okay. This may be controversial. Not controversial, but maybe not in everybody's opinion. But I think 1408.
Yes,
it's pretty underrated because I remember watching it and everyone was telling me it wasn't good, and me and my buddy watched it and we were like, that movie was scary as fuck.
Yeah.
It really builds a lot of dread because he just can't get out, but then he doesn't want to get out because he's trying to get his daughter back. And then as it keeps getting worse and worse, he's like, okay, maybe I don't want this anymore. It's just
John Cusack makes that room terrifying.
Yeah.
He's not one for necessarily being, I know he's been in a few horror films, but not a huge amount, but he makes that work. Can you had you? I made you watch it.
Yeah, well, I only watched it for the first time 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Another one when I was when I first started this cold, still got it. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good, and it was not what I was expecting it because I've not read the book. But I think you're right. It builds up the tension really well, and then just goes so outlandish. But I loved that. I thought it was really good.
Everyone hated it when it came out. It only gained an audience in more recent times.
Yeah, it's even the build up where he's still in his I'm not scared of anything phase, and he's trying to go rationalize everything, and you're like, you could see yourself exactly in that situation, and that's why I think it spirals nicely because there's the bit where he's looking out the window and there's him in the opposite building, and he's like, what? And it just starts to get weirder and weirder. But yeah, no, I thought it was fantastic. 1408.
You've been there, didn't you say?
Yeah,
really?
I've been to the hotel that inspired it, which is in Boston. But yeah.
Do they even have a room 1408?
You have a room 1408. I took a photo of the name badge on the door.
Nice.
Yeah, so yeah, it doesn't look the same to the one in the film, but it's apparently somewhat inspired by it. But yeah. Cool. So mine then, I don't know where to start. So my first one will be St. Maud, which is by Rose Glass. I think it was a big kind of debut, but it's a very, very religiously heavy horror, and again, slow burn, but it's just uncomfortable all the way through. And I think it had a fair bit of amplification when it first came out. But what was good about it and what I liked about it is you just didn't know what it was going to be. And, you know, as it kind of trundled along, there's just the imagery is amazing. The lead actress in it, I can't remember her name. She's currently in Rings of Power.
Yeah, it's the lead from that, isn't
it? She was phenomenal. And it was just intense, gritty, grimy, very English or British, because it's got that. And I think it was similar to something which we probably end up talking about, and you mentioned before, Kim, in Possum. It's kind of got that really gritty, grimy uncomfortableness to it. But yeah, I think that's kind of one that I think that lots of people need to have a bit more. And the ending is just sublime. Like how you end a film, St. Maud is how you end a film. Just proper.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good choice. When it first was, before it came out, it had so much hype. Everyone was like, oh, St. Maud, St. Maud. And then it came out and nobody talked about it at all.
It had a really shit, like, limited release or whatever it's called. It didn't, I think it was first aired in festivals at the beginning of 2019, but it didn't come out here until Halloween 2020. So it took forever to release. I think people just forgot about it. And I think it was another one that was, because isn't it over there A24, and they just have a problem with distributing stuff over here. I don't know what it is, even though it's a British film. I don't know, but yeah, it was a very quiet release, that one. But I actually saw that. I went down to Cornwall to see that. For Mark Commode introduced it, and he sang its praises. So, and I was very excited to watch it, and it was great. I agree. I think the ending is amazing. We won't spoil it because you can't. It's too good to do that. But if you haven't watched it, definitely, I would say. I'm surprised I didn't put that on my list, to be honest. But you mentioned Possum. That was going to be the next one on my list, because it is probably it's not the best film. I think it's not the best film at all, but it is just horrible and creepy, and it is probably the scariest thing I've seen in terms of how often it scared me and how often it creeped me out. It's kind of got all the things I hate in it. So it's got like spider imagery, it's got weird kind of creepy doll baby faces, and it's just really like dirty feeling, and it's all set in this grimy house, and it's got that Britishness that you said, that's like there's nothing kind of polished about it like they have in Hollywood films. But it's by someone who was in Garth Marenghi's Dark Places as well, which I've not really seen that much of it, but it's all that kind of weirdness.
It's a great show.
A bit off kilter, not quite right, and a bit, you know. But yeah, I remember watching. I thought Possum was going to be one of those just random, generic, kind of low budget American horror films. But then I watched it, I was like, what is this? This is just horrible. But then when I finished it, I was like, you know what? If something's going to scare me that much, I can't not knock it. I can't knock it. So, yeah. If you want something a bit different and weird, definitely go for that. It's not pleasant at all, but so if you just Google image it is enough to probably creep you out, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the poster, and I think even the name Possum, kind of makes it feel like it's going to be some kind of creature horror thing, because that's what I thought. I haven't not known anything about it. I thought it's about, you know, it's going to be some spidery creature thing, because that's what it looks like on the poster. But it is very different to that, and it's
it's a puppet, isn't it?
It's a very it's like a head.
Spoilers.
Spoilers, but it's just really uncomfortable to watch. Like really, it's got that weird kind of which I find you only really get in kind of European but very British, where it's kind of that non-acting. It feels like a bit of a student film, like no one like they've never acted in a film before, but that's kind of done on purpose because then it kind of makes you feel a bit like these people are real. But yeah, it's almost over grimy at some points because they're like living in an old house and it's disgusting. You think no one's living there. It's grim.
Yeah.
It's funny because you're like, oh, it feels the characters feel real because the way the acting is, and there's a right way to do that and a wrong way to do that. The wrong way to do that is how the new Halloween franchise is, where it feels like they hired a bunch of people just out of like background casting, and we're like, here, it's your first role on your record, and they don't come off as authentic. They feel like people who can't act. It doesn't feel like real people, and there's like you need to have a good balance of that in movies. So
Yeah.
I'm actually interested in checking out Possum now.
Yeah, I think
should.
it's the minimalness of the acting that's done, if that makes sense. I can't remember the lead guy's name. Sean Harris, that's his name. He's in Prometheus as well, but he's just very awkward, and he almost underacts a lot of the time. But then when he needs to, he's kind of over the top. So it's just very good. And there is one really terrifying bit, which Kim knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, Mission Impossible guy. Sean
Yeah.
Harris. Yeah. Okay. I thought I'd recognize that name.
Is he in Mission Impossible?
Yeah, he's the bad guy in.
Oh, he is. Yeah.
Oh, no way.
He's great in it.
He's in that new thing at the moment on Netflix, that The Stranger Thing with Joel Edgerton.
Yeah.
And he's in Spencer. And he's in The Green Knight. He's got pretty
loads.
Yeah, he's really good. It's his voice.
Yeah. But
no, you should definitely check it out if you haven't, Campo.
I'm going to.
It's just, I think it's just got a very Britishness about it, which I don't know, I can't see anywhere else doing. It's just, I can't explain it, but it just proper creeped me out, and I don't know if I could watch it again.
Yeah, no.
While anyway. But yeah, it is a good one. I think it's on Shudder. Is that where it's on here? So you might have it over there.
Yeah, I'll have it on the internet. It'll be there somewhere. But yeah, okay, I'm gonna check that out. You're both making it sound worth my time. So okay,
yeah, it's interesting. If anything, nothing else.
I'll give another one. It's British. Dog Soldiers.
Brilliant.
This is I've been talking about this movie since the first day when I saw it, which I don't remember when it was, but it was maybe really close to when it first came out. My buddy was like, "Oh, you got to watch this movie." I was like, "Okay," and I watched it. And I was like, "Yeah." And I recently bought the DVD or the Blu-ray for a ridiculous price, just for the 4K to come out much cheaper, only like a couple of weeks later. So I was very upset by that. But it's a great movie, and I didn't expect anything that was gonna happen to happen at all. As far as werewolf movies go, I mean, I hate that genre. I'm just gonna be honest. But this movie does it so well, and it feels real. Like the acting feels authentic.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen Dog Soldiers. Because it's quite old now, but it's had a bit of because I think there's a special edition or something where you keep banging on about it.
I want it, but I can't find it anywhere. The 4K second sight box set I want, but it's all gone. But yeah, it's a great film. I think I studied that at uni actually for British cinema or something. But yeah, it's great. Neil Marshall, isn't it? Yeah, I need to rewatch that one because I do love it.
All right, Tom.
All right. So these next two, I'm going to pair them. And I watched one the other day. So I think they're both French. One's called Meander, which came out in 2020, and one's called Oxygen, which is on Netflix now, which came out last year, I think it is. But they're both kind of claustrophobia focused films, if that makes sense. And claustrophobia for me is horrible. I can't watch anything that's people trapped in small spaces, getting chased by things down narrow corridors, all that kind of shit. But Meander and Oxygen, are very, they've both got a bit of sci-fi element to them. I would say Oxygen, which I saw the other day, is, as I say, it's on Netflix in the UK, so it'd be easy for people in the UK. I don't know if it's anywhere else, but it's just got fantastic. It's, I like films when there's limited space, when there's people trapped in a small space and they're having to, because I think it, you know, requires somebody who's an actor to act more or get more out of it, to because you can't rely on your surroundings or other people or interactions. You've really got to, I think both these films, both with blonde leading ladies, but they both absolutely excel in the terror of being trapped in a space, not knowing where you are, you know, not knowing how to get out, not knowing how to survive with a time limit up against you. And I think for me, somebody who stresses about little things, that kind of panic induced horror, they're both excellent examples of it. And, you know, yeah, well written. Never really heard of them. Meander is a bit weirder because, you know, she gets so abducted and then wakes up in a tube, basically. And it's like an assault course in a tube. It's very difficult to explain. It's got a very strange ending, but it's just survival, and it's heavy, hard work, tiring, stressful, gory. Oxygen's a bit more sci-fi, but it's very, again, you know, she's trapped. She wakes up in a cryogenic chamber. She's got no idea who she is. She doesn't know where she is. Doesn't know why she's there, and she's literally, all she's got is Milo, which is the computer AI in the cryogenic chamber with her, and she's having to try and work out while her oxygen's depleting. She starts with like 40% oxygen, and as she's going through the film, it's depleting, and it's just a constant search and her trying to remember, and it's just tiring and relentless. And it's only about 80 minutes or something like that, but it's just exhausting. And I think they're two really good, quick, hard-hitting, horror, exhausting, stressful films.
No, I added it. It's on Netflix here as well. I just put it on my watch list, so I'll check that one out.
Yeah, I need to watch that. I keep seeing people talking about it. I've not heard of the Meander one though, so I need to add that to my list.
Meander is on Now TV, Sky Cinema. But,
okay.
Again, it's only like 80 odd minutes long, but it's.
I'm not mad at that. I would
good.
prefer if a movie is good and I can get through it fast. I would much prefer that.
Exactly, and that's why I think they don't relent. There's no like downtime. It's just constant. You're like, what? But yeah, the payoff is much better in one than the other. Oxygen, I think, has got a better payoff than Meander, but they're both fairly similar, kind of. And just leave it in French, everyone. Don't be sticking the dub on, because it started with a dub on my Netflix, and I was like, what is this? It was ruined, so I had to flip it over to subtitles in French. Yeah,
no, you gotta love those dubs on Netflix.
Oh,
and where every Spanish movie has the same actors, so it always sounds like you're listening to the same movie, no matter what you're watching.
Yeah,
it's so strange.
So I'm just gonna take 2 seconds before I do the next one. We'll cut this little bit out.
Yeah, we definitely are cutting this out.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying not to make too much noise whilst everyone's talking before I start my next bit. Right, okay. What?
Continue.
I'm going.
cut out.
So my next one, I don't know what to go for. I think I'm going to go for an early noughties Korean film called R Point.
No, I've never heard of that.
It's really low key, and I remember I discovered it because when I was in college and I was working at the famous sandwich shop that I always tell everyone about that I worked in, the owners were like, oh, you like film, you should watch this, and gave me the DVD, and I was like, what the hell is this? And it's, I'm trying to think, it's kind of, so it's about this like army troop that go to like search and rescue type thing, and then it's a bit spooky, and yeah, that's the one. I was on your phone. I was like, have you got the DVD or whatever? But yeah, it's kind of, considering how big South Korean cinema is now, it's one that's kind of never got picked up again with, you know, things like Old Boy and Tale of Two Sisters and stuff like that. But I really enjoyed it. it's got quite a, it could be a bit mind bendy at times, and it kind of plays on that because it starts off as like a war drama thriller and then morphs into this kind of paranormal spook fest kind of thing. And it's all you know, the guys who are in the troupe are kind of losing their minds a bit, so it's a bit not stressful, but you know, a bit exhausting to watch. But I don't think it's because I discovered it quite young. I really enjoy it, but I think it's one that just no one ever seems to talk about or know about. And I think deserves a bit more. I don't know if it's on anything, to be honest, but there is definitely a DVD copy. I think Tartan Asia did the DVD, Tartan Asia Extreme. So I imagine it will get some form of Blu-ray release at some point, if not already. If not, Arrow will pick it up because they always do the old Tartan movies. So yeah, I think that's, if you want a slightly less challenging South Korean film, that's definitely one. It's a bit more generic in its formula, but it's a bit different in its payoff. I think it's a good little, that's proper hidden gem, that one.
I'll check that out. Okay, so for my next one, I'm gonna go. This is more culty, I guess. I mean, it's kind of popular, at least now, but in the time when it came out, it was, there was so many similar, or what people thought were similar horror movies coming out, so it got overlooked, and that's The Faculty.
Yes.
There were so many slashers at that time that everyone was like, "Oh, this is just another I Know What You Did Last Summer," but it turns out it's nothing like a slasher movie at all. I guess maybe in terms of the way that the movie progresses, it is, but it's much more sci-fi, and I think the cast is insane. The fact that I know a lot of them were still young at this point, but like even the older actors, like they got Famke Janssen and Selma Hayek and all these people is crazy to me. Yeah, they just like, there's so much talent in this movie. It's hard to overlook it, and it still gets overlooked. Like, I guess when you're looking at Elijah Wood's filmography, you're like, oh, no, I'm not going to watch this one. But I mean, I really like it. I've always been a fan. I think this is one of Robert Rodriguez's better movies.
Yeah.
I mean, he's okay. I like the lead up, but yeah, I really enjoy this movie, and I think it's a lot of fun. It tells a really fun story that kind of, it's almost a parody of the genre, while also trying to be serious about it at the same time. So
Yeah, it takes a lot of inspiration from stuff. It's got a little nod to The Thing in it with the what, I can't remember what he calls it, the powder that he makes, and they all take it and try to figure out who's who and stuff. But because I only watched that last week for the first time in forever, and I could not remember how many people were in that film. It is insane. The cast is ridiculous. It is. I really enjoyed it. I think, yeah, it's one from, because I'm watching a lot of films from that time period at the moment, and so many of them are just absolute shit. And that is definitely one of the
you
good
just
ones.
watched a decent one. I don't know if I hope I don't take this off anyone's list, but Valentine is like underrated.
I really enjoyed that one. I did. I thought it was going to be rubbish, but I actually thought it was quite good. Because it scores absolutely atrocious. It gets like 11% on Rotten Tomatoes, and normally I'm like, I won't even bother. But I thought it was decent. So yeah, but not many of them are. So Faculty is definitely a good one to check out.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in ages. I need to give it a rewatch.
It's
All
on
I
now
ever
on TV
remember,
here.
yeah, all I ever remember is the cast just being absolutely stacked. But yeah, no, I haven't seen it in forever. Need to give that a rewatch.
Mm.
All right, you got any more, Tom?
Yeah, I've got one more, which is a bit. I've watched it a few times now, and it's on Shudder, and it is a bit niche and a bit out there, but it's Mad God, which is Phil Tippett, the famous stop motion animation guy. This is kind of magnum opus type, and it is just weird. It is just a bizarre hour and 20 minutes of just stuff happening. Having watched it, I think I've watched it 3 times now. There's so much going on. It's just horrendously beautiful to look at. It's the level of detail and the effort, and I'm a big fan of animation, practical effects stuff, and just the work that's gone into getting it done is just immense. Yeah, okay. The visuals and the symbolism and stuff, it's a bit, you could kind of explain it away and post-rationalize it forever because it's very out there. But just as a thing to sit and take in for, I think it's like 80 minutes, 70 minutes, something like that. It's just, you've got to experience it. You can't really explain what's going on because it's just bizarre. It's something that if you went to an art gallery, you'd see like 10 minutes of it looping on a screen and you'd be like, what the fuck is that? What's going on with this person's brain? It's like that, and it's just, there is a narrative to it, and there's a story. There are some bits that are a bit wonky in it, and there is some live action in it as well. But as a piece of artwork and as a piece of Phil Tippett's craft, it's worth a watch.
Visually, I have to agree with you.
Yeah. I mean, it is sensational to look at, and and uncomfortable and weird and strange. And I think because it's animation and because he can create things, it's even stranger because it's like, well, these don't make any sense. What is this? But yeah, it doesn't feel like there's any logic to what is going on. It's just a journey through whatever it is, the place that they're going through. But yeah, that's my hidden gem, because I think a lot of people might just skip past it because it's got a very good poster, to try and make it think. But yeah, that's my last one, I think, on my list.
I've got so many more, but I might just reel off all the rest of them now because I don't want to go through everyone individually.
Reel them off, and if any stand out, we'll shout at you.
Okay.
I'll do that too then. So what's mine?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll start from the top. Uncle Peckerhead.
Horror
comedy.
That shit.
I loved it. It was so much fun.
It
was so much fun. Horror comedy about a band. No, it's not. It's silly and it knows it. So I like that. Slightly not full horror, but very culty and bit of 80s exploitation, dead end driving.
Never heard of it.
I've heard of it. I never saw it.
It's a bit of a weird mix between something like Mad Max and then like Miracle Mile. If you've seen Miracle Mile, it's good fun. It's very 80s, good costumes and like effects and stuff like that. Next one is City of the Dead, 1960 Christopher Lee film, and then another Christopher Lee one, Horror Express.
I've never seen that.
It's good. It's a bit silly and it's not aged particularly well in terms of how it looks, but young Christopher Lee, I love. Next one is The Woman. It's by the guy who directed May, which I actually watched yesterday. Prevenge is another one.
I've heard of
by
Prevenge.
Alice Lowe. It's so good. It's like a proper offbeat horror comedy. It's by Alice Lowe, who was also in Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, and she also wrote Sightseers with what's his name? My mind's gone blank. The guy who did Kill List, and she's in that as well. And she was actually 8 months pregnant whilst filming the movie, and they had to film it all in 2 weeks, so she didn't give birth whilst filming.
Well, I'll probably really like that then. If it's anything like Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, I'll probably really like that. So
it's good. It's very it's not like really obvious comedy. So like she's heavily pregnant, her husband dies, and she basically starts to she is the slash, like the killer. It's a slash film, and she starts to pick off the people that were responsible for it whilst her fetus is telling her to do it. So it's very weird, but it's very funny and very dark comedy. I love it.
Tom Davis and Kayvan Novak in it.
Yeah, it's got a good British cast in it. It's I think it's on Mubi over here actually. But yeah, it's a good little bit of oddball stuff. I've got two more. Next one is Good Manners, which is I think it's Spanish werewolf movie, but it's quite It's a bit more like it's a bit like Del Toro. It's quite fairy tale like. But that was interesting. And then the last one is The Loved Ones, which we watched, and the Australian, I guess it's slasher. I don't really know if you call it a slasher. But it's so brutal and just wild. Some interesting violence and kills in it, which you don't get to, I don't think I've ever seen them anywhere else, involving drills and boiling kettles and injections with bleach and all sorts. It's it's a good one, that one. But yeah, that's all of them. It's good. I think if you've not watched it, it's more fun than it sounds. It's quite funny, but it's actually, the main guy in it was in Blonde. He was the one who played Charlie Chaplin's son, I think. He's in it. He's the main guy. There's a little fact for you. But yeah, that's all mine. Mine. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just go through this. I had Oculus, but now that I'm thinking about it, maybe that's not so much lesser known or hidden gem.
I think it is lesser known. I don't think it wasn't out for very long, and I don't think many people remember it. But I do. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think it's a lot better than you would think it's going to be. It seems like one of those cash grab February horror movies that comes out, and you go watch it because there's nothing else. But it's solid. I also had In the Mouth of Madness and Prince of Darkness, which we talked about kind of in the other episode. I think both of those are super underappreciated, especially Prince of Darkness. Prince of Darkness is actually a pretty good movie. Like, In the Mouth of Madness is kind of just absurd and like it loses itself at times. But there's two other movies that are like that. Event Horizon, where it kind of just is like this really weird build up to where it's getting, and Sphere. I don't know if you've seen Sphere, but I really like Sphere. I think
Sphere, Kim. Oh my god.
Does that also star Sam Neill by any chance?
No, it's Dustin Hoffman and Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah. It's all famous. It's all big names. It's really good.
When did it come out?
It's 90s. 98.
Oh, I could watch that as part of my little thing.
It came out in the same time as like Event Horizon and Virus. I don't know if you ever saw Virus with Jamie Lee Curtis. It's really bad, but I like it. But Sphere is really good. I should have had that on the list. It's like super psychological. It's just a guy going crazy, and they're on like an underwater base. I don't know. It's good. It's kind of like The Abyss, but in space, but in water.
It's also got Huey Lewis in it from Huey Lewis and the News.
It's us. Sports. I also had Midnight Meat Train with Vinnie Jones and Bradley Cooper, which I don't know if either of you have seen that.
I think I started it and didn't finish it for some reason. Not for anything because it was bad or anything, but just one of them. I think
I remember the trailer.
It's meant to be brutal, isn't it?
It got absolutely swept under the rug. Like, it came out and nobody even knew that it came out. A lot of people don't even know this exists, especially considering like Vinnie Jones and Bradley Cooper are pretty big names.
Yeah, I think it got a bit more marketing over here because of Vinnie Jones.
Yeah,
because I remember it coming out and stuff, but I didn't watch it.
It's worth a watch. It's pretty pretty messed up movie.
Yeah,
it tries to be. It's like a combination of like a really messed up, gory horror movie and like a David Fincher thing where he's trying to like build a mystery of like solving what's happening.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not as good, but okay. My last one I had was Censor, which I stick by that forever. I think Censor is so different, and it has such a it might not pay off as well as I wanted it to, but the build up to the mystery of where it was going, it had me locked in the entire time. I was just like, I had no idea where this movie was going, and I loved
Censor.
I haven't seen it.
It is good. It is a proper callback to like the video Nazis and stuff, and it's another British one with a lot of British stuff being talked about on this list, isn't there? But yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great. I need to give it another watch. I saw it when it came out. I've not seen it since.
It's a lot of good visuals, like a lot of really good use of lighting. Like,
It's a bit shallow, isn't it? It's
yeah,
got a bit
yeah,
of
a
shallow
little
to
bit of
it.
gelato in there. It's not bad. I don't have anything else. You guys have anything else?
No, that's all of mine that I reeled
No.
off.
All right. Thank you for watching. Subscribe. Okay, just subscribe. Just do it. Okay, bye.
Do it.